Hello, everyone, and welcome to the numerology reading for the new moon in Gemini. We just had the full moon in Scorpio, so if you had a strong Scorpio placement in your chart, like either it's your birth sign, your moon sign, north node, okay, or rising sign, that's great, right? And if you have Gemini in those same four spots, then you have this back to back of the full moon, new moon, vice versa. And this is really good energy. So if you know your chart, you can really play with your meditation or your tarot reading, and also planning events in your life and just knowing your forecast of what to look out for in your personalities, other people's personalities, just anything that you would do. Okay, a lot of states are reopening on Friday, more counties, right? So for instance, like I know a lot of people in Pennsylvania, so they're opening a lot more counties on the new moon, right? So the new moon is a new cycle. It's like you're planting your seed for success and so on, right? So we all know what the new moon stands for, a new start, the fresh cycle, the new cycle of the moon, a new start, and making new plans on that day. It's a prosperous time to start something new, start a new workout routine, start, a new diet, a new anything, right? So it's really good opening up a business, starting a new course, promoting something, anything that you want to give attention to. Okay, some good definitions of a new moon is like new beginnings, new endeavors, new relationships, right? Maybe you want to set a date on that date. It could be over Skype. I don't know. It could be any special event. It represents a positive change, a new start, right? Planting seeds. Certain people actually literally plant a seed, at that time. Sometimes it's full moon, new moon, waning, waxing. It all depends on what your goal is and what that type of food is when you plant it, right? It is very auspicious, optimistic time, the new moon. And it brings about a lot of like hope and faith and just you being prosperous, right? So it's a great day to start something new. Now, the high peak of the moon is going to happen at 10:38 a.m. That's Pacific Standard Time. Now, that is 1:38 Eastern Standard Time. So the high peak of the moon is a great time for the maximum power of that moon, right? So I'll get into that in the moon reading. But the 2 degrees is another thing with this Gemini moon, right? So it's 2 degrees 4 minutes, right? Gemini in the moon, okay? So we have a lot of twos. We have the sun at 2 degrees, the moon at 2 degrees in Gemini. We have Mercury, communication is big. At 20 degrees, you have Venus at 20 degrees, you have Jupiter at 27 degrees, and Pluto at 24 degrees. Now, for myself, I'll look at this and I'll look at my chart and I say, okay, where is the big planets are right now? Okay, and then what is multiples of 2 that I like, okay? And if there's a number that you feel resonate as a lucky number, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 22, maybe it's 27, it's 28, whatever it is, right? But you look and see which one matches up and see what you can learn from the aspects of that planet. If it's Pluto at 24 degrees, and 24 is a lucky number for you, or it means something to you, you can look into what that means. It might relate to yourself or a person, where's Pluto in your chart, so on. So you can really look at the big aspects for the moon, and I'll do that in another video. But I want to talk about the number 2. 2 is about the first thing I thought of when I thought of a Gemini moon, and that it is 2 degrees. I thought Gemini twins, right? So this is a powerful numerology sense and for Geminis, okay? Now, I really feel connected a lot to, yes, Gemini, the Western astrology. Also, a lot of Geminis will benefit from looking into the Vedic astrology and recognizing that a lot of the people that consider themselves Gemini are Geminis, but if you feel a little bit kind of more grounded or more relaxed in a sense, especially if you're born in May, then you lean more towards Taurus as well. So you can watch Taurus readings when it comes to tarot, and also Gemini. So that's really a big thing. And I will do the video on that. I will definitely do the video on that. I'm going to put this here so it doesn't make that noise. Okay, so I've been trying to get these videos out last day of school, homeschooling. So I'm like, yay, I'm not that busy anymore. So this too is about balance. So look at your life and see where there is imbalance. And that's going to be huge with the staying home and needing to work and needing to provide for ourselves. This is big. So the basic meaning of 2 is balance, right? It's dealing with duality, and that's what Gemini is. It's dealing with teamwork, right? If we're feeling a lack of teamwork, 2 is going to say, hey, we need things to get back in balance. It also deals with diplomacy. So that's a big issue right now. So that's going to be a very hot topic, especially for right now. Obviously, you can look at what the number means and say, this is what's happening in my life, but now it's happening on a bigger scale for everyone. And this all this energy really started back up in November, okay? With a lot of shifts happening with Saturn, Capricorn, and I want to say Jupiter, okay? But definitely Saturn, okay? So we want to look at coming together, right? People want to socialize. Gemini is always social. Gemini wants to communicate. People are communicating. Some communications are not good, some are good. So 2 also represents romance, right? So a lot of things are put on hold, meeting people. For others, it's actually a good thing. Maybe someone will meet each other online. We'll hear stories of people falling in love and meeting each other online. So just because some certain things are bad doesn't mean that everything is bad. Some people actually, just from being home, when the alignment is ready, it will happen. You know, you just can't judge it. So there's someone will meet each other online. Others will have a great experience. Some won't have a great experience. Some people, it really messes up their social life because they're used to this face-to-face contact, right? Some people, they will experience this energy around this time of the new moon and throughout the new moon cycle leading up to the full moon, meeting people that are meaningful in their life. All right. So the basic meaning of 2, because we're going to get to 22, but the basic meaning of 2 is duality, is balance. And that balance has to come from within. Okay. You can't buy it. You can't be around it, and you can vibe around the energy. That's why a lot of people will feel great when they do yoga, meditation, and so on. You'll be a part of the vibe, but if it's not authentic and it's not really within you, then you can only vibe on it, right? You can only be around the essence of it, but you have to really have and feel that balance within. But with the 22, this is a master number, which means that it went through all that level of numbers before 22 and it's mastered itself. It's vibrating at that master number. The 22 is a double meaning of balance. It's a double meaning of duality, of teamwork, of romance, of diplomacy. It's really about how can we come together to a basic understanding, right? So that it's bringing things back into balance. Right now, it's a lot of doing things that are out of balance, right? Rather than doing what is right, okay? And it's like this number really kind of represents that Libra energy of justice, of balance, of diplomacy, right? The 22, it's mastering that coming together. So a lot of people are going to be coming together and really look at words. Gemini is dealing with words and communication. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And in the planetary reading, we're going to look at Mercury and Venus squaring Neptune. That's going to be huge, okay? We're going to look at the trines of Jupiter, okay? So we have to look at the trines as well. That's going to be really important. Jupiter in the 6th house trining the sun, okay? We're going to look at that. All right? So that's important, but the big planetary movement, which I'll do a separate video on that, is that Mercury squaring Neptune and Mercury squaring Venus. It's a lot of what is going on right now. So this 22 is double the meaning of balance, double the meaning of 2. It's also about the need to be exact, right? And to be accurate towards whatever it is that you're doing or whatever it is that you want. You have to really be like the hermit, right? You have to be really studied or find someone that is really studied to help you move towards what it is that you need to move back to your life towards balance. It's about precision, right? This master number is achieving what is thought to be impossible. The master number is like, you think that 2 represents balance. Yes, okay, 2 represents balance. But this balance that you're seeking at the 2 level is impossible. But with the 22, it can achieve the impossible. So right now, we're experiencing for our generation a lot of things that some people thought was impossible. But back in December, I was having a conversation and I was talking about, man, you know, food shortage, or like, it's not fear talk. It's just like having a conversation. I remember back in December, we went to a show and I was like, wow, that's a lot of food. And if they do the show 3 times a day, that's a lot of food. And I was like, wow, we're so lucky that we have all of this. I was saying this, you know, and I'm like, wow, that would be so crazy. This is back in freaking December, okay? And to now, right? So what we think is impossible to bring things back into balance doesn't have to be. 22 holds that power. So we're going to see a lot of shift in this new moon in Gemini leading up to the upcoming full moon. And Gemini is about communicating, right? So you have to be in this mastered mindset to overcome the impossible, right? So the master builder is at a level, or it says reach this level, right? Where it already overcame the meanings of all the numbers that came before that. So what I would say to someone is, look at, what does 0 mean? What does 1 mean, right? Leadership, working together, right? What does 2 mean? What does 3 mean? And if you look at all the numbers from 0 to 22 and really get an understanding of that and say, okay, how can I, and this is kind of like the Cliff Notes, where you're just looking at what it means. But if you actually spend, 23 days, because you have the 0 to 22, and actually meditated on each number each day, and then when you got to the 22, right? Then it's kind of like, okay, I spend these days, meditating on that, thinking about what does that mean and how does that relate to my life, my behavior, my thoughts, things that are happening around me, right? So that's pretty powerful for the 22. So again, the sun is in 2. How can you balance yourself, right? Yourself. The sun represents self. What within yourself needs balance? Moon is at 2. What in your emotion could be balanced, right? Mercury is 20. What does 20 mean? 20, just break it down to 2, okay? What could be balanced for you? And then what does the number 20 represent? But it breaks back down to 2. What does 20 mean as a master number, okay? So I'm just going to say 20 master number, okay? Let's just do that. Right? So it's very simple. Master number, meaning, okay? So we'll look up and see what that means. It goes right back to two, like it mentions teamwork and service, right? So Mercury, how do you communicate for yourself and how you communicate with others is how I would interpret it. And the teamwork part would, for me, I would immediately think of diplomacy, right? How are you, or an advocate, how are you communicating good for you, and how are you communicating good for someone else? Because I truly believe that the karma will come back to you, in certain cases. So how are you communicating for yourself, and how can you be a voice for someone else? And Mercury is the messenger, and the moon used to be the old messenger, right? I don't know who's calling me, but I can't even answer them right now. So the moon used to be the old messenger. Okay, so Venus is two. Venus is teamwork. Venus is the feminine essence of Mars. It will fight for what it wants, or not what it wants, but what it feels is it's hers. Okay, so Venus is asking for teamwork, or not even asking. Venus is looking at teamwork. Venus is looking at being efficient. Okay, in the feminine energy, right? It will. I think of Kali, like, it will definitely burn and get rid of what it needs to get rid of, but it's operating in a service to self, okay, in communication with Mercury, and they're both 20. Jupiter is 27. 9 is endings and beginnings, right? Something needs to end so that something new can begin. So with Jupiter is giving you gifts of prosperity, right? I'm going to go back to Venus. But Jupiter is giving you gifts of prosperity. But Jupiter is saying something has to end within you, or some kind of practice has to end for the new one to begin. Okay? 6. Okay? So 24 will break down to 6. So this Pluto energy is 6. So this Pluto energy is sitting back, looking at everything. It's kind of, I like to think of Pluto as the emperor. Like, you can see its whole terrain. So Pluto is like looking at everything and saying, okay, what do I need to do? What needs to get done? Okay? What needs to get done? Now you look at what 6 symbolizes, okay? And I don't even want that meaning of 6, because I'm not even going that route. I really dislike when 6 to me is opening doors, is new pathways, right? For African numerology, I would just say, like in the Orishas, it's more like opening a new path, right? But it also represents unconditional love, healing, and nurturing, right? So you think of it as a teacher of compassion and empathy, right? So Pluto is like that life and death energy as well. Okay, so if Pluto is that life and death energy, but it's also looking at things in compassion, empathy, love. It's also looking at healing and nurturing yourself, right? So how can you do that? By actually taking a step back and looking at the actions of life and death, right? Life, death, life, death, and the actions of not just yourself, but everyone around you, right? So we want to really look at what is meaningful to us. What is meaningful to us, right? What is true happiness or wealth, right? Because we're in this system right now, this form of existence. But after this existence, there's another existence. So Pluto is asking us to have balance between our living and our dead, right? Or our living and when we transition, right? So Pluto is looking at the whole picture, not just the physical world right now, right? So that's a way that you can look at this numerology, right? And then Venus, like I said, Venus is love, compassion, beauty, right? But how can we balance that? Because there's Venus is the fun aspect. Venus is about the self. What's fun for you? What is beauty for you? What, your money, your prosperity, what do you love? What is meaningful? What do you possess? Venus is about protecting what is your possession, right? And that possession shouldn't be arrogant or, you know, a mask of like, this is mine, you know, and it's more of what is rightfully yours, more not like a privilege, right? It's more of like, okay, I see it, this is what I'm passionate for, this is mine, this is what brings me joy. So this whole numerology is about finding balance, right? It's not all fluffy, you know, and sprinkles and stuff like that. It is about finding true balance again, right? So for this new moon, how can things be more balanced that would be helpful towards you, right? What teamwork can you build within yourself and people around you? What's the duality of the situation? How can we come together? How can there be a balance again, right? And really being accurate about it, right? So that's my reading. I can't believe it went on for 20 minutes. So thank you guys so much for watching. Look out for the other videos. I'm breaking them all down. Okay. There'll be a full moon reading, an overall full moon reading, and there will be the aspects. The aspects are so important because there's so many different aspects that you can focus on, but these are the two I'm doing, because then the aspect video could be very long, but the most important planets that would affect us most. Okay, so definitely click like, share if you feel that this video has helped you, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Click like, comment. If you have any questions, definitely jot it down. What's your aspect is, what's your, not aspect, but what's your connection to number 2? What does it mean to you? All right, peace.